Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I call to order the May 13th, 2024 Community Consolidated District 59 Board of Education meeting regular session. I'm going to ask that we rise and do the pledge and have our
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, that leads directly into 3.0 board recognition, junior high school student senates, and transitions from 5th to 6th grade.
All right, thank you for having us this evening. I'm Mike Wheatley, principal at Friendship Junior High School, and I'm going to let our team introduce themselves.
I'm Jessica Joshi. I'm the WIN Ambassador Teacher.
Matt Shadell, counselor.
I'm Sandrine Stakova. My name's Yadi Sid.
I'm Mudri.
I'm Angel Ventura.
I'm Relia Galat.
I'm Emilia Santiago.
And our students tonight are consisted of our student ambassadors and our student senate. We set off this year to really plan for our transition from 5th to 6th grade. So what does it look like from going from our elementary schools to the junior high? And an important thing to remember is we're presenting here tonight from Friendship, but this is actually the entire district. So all of our foundation teams, which we have a junior high member at each foundation team, and all of our feeder elementaries have planned out transitions with collaboration from district office, our assessment teams, our elementary teachers, our elementary principals, our interventionists. So this is a lot of work from all of our elementary schools and all of our junior highs that we're representing with similar experience from all of us. So we really started thinking about making sure that this is a smooth transition, that our students felt welcome into all of our junior highs when they transition into 6th grade, and that our parents also understood what life as a junior high student is going to look like, with many of our parents being first-time parents to junior high students. We really wanted to take the time to identify very specific attributes of what we look for to make sure that schedules are planned, that parents are informed about different activities, clubs, athletics, and really life as a junior high student and what that looks like.
All right, and so part of that transition consists of us, different staff members from our school administration, me, the counselor, partnering up and collaborating with the staff members over at the various elementary schools, and just deciding based on scores and everything that the students have been able to achieve and things that they are already a part of. We're taking that data and identifying those students to determine what sort of intervention classes or WIN classes they need to be a part of and push into, as well as making sure that they're taking the coursework that's necessary to their needs, such as taking rigorous classwork if that's where their teachers feel like they fall into, as well as their test scores, and letting all those be factors to determine into where they do place. And so with all of that, we've been doing some great things and have been able to really set these students up for success when they do transition into our schools, being the junior highs. And just showing them the roots and having all these great students here, these student leaders, being able to show them the ropes, everything from learning how to open up their lockers as well as walking their schedules.
So the student ambassadors range from 6th through 8th graders. These are all 6th graders here with me today except for Amelia. And they reflected on their introduction to Friendship and created an outline of stations for the incoming 6th graders to experience as well. The ambassadors shared that they all wanted to feel comfortable on their first day of school, which was the goal in the creation of these stations. They also created important handouts to put into folders for the incoming sixth graders to help ease the nerves about all of the new information and support them in their new environment and friendship.
When the fifth sorry. When the fifth graders came to visit our school, we split into small groups with student leaders. Our stations were mastering the basics, engaging student life, exploring the campus, meeting the mentors, and clapping out for community. At the beginning, we all sat together to talk about what it means to be a Firebird and what values we have at school. Then we split up into small groups and talked about how to navigate Friendship Junior High.
Soccer are really hard for all students, and we wanted time to practice. When they were successful, there would be prizes inside. We also explained how to read a schedule for A days and B days at Friendship.
So we wanted to showcase opportunities for involvement for our sixth graders. So me and a few other eighth graders, including my friends and other people that I've known to show such leadership in our school. For a while, when we were sixth graders, we wanted to know what we could be involved in. And now as eighth graders, we know how to be involved, what we can be involved in, and why it's important. So we wanted to share that same thing with the sixth graders. So some of the things that we collectively decided to include in our presentation that we made was some activities and extracurricular activities that we had in school. So some of them included stuff like Student Senate or our student broadcasted system, and other things like sports outside of school and things like choir, art, and electives. So we wanted to share what they could do and why it's important. So we shared that it's important because overall it creates a better student, it creates better grades, and overall you feel more connected to your community. So we wanted to share this with our sixth graders so they know so on and so forth what they could continue to do and what they can be excited to do when they come to Friendship.
The third station was taking a tour of the building where we pointed out key areas of the school,
Such as the sixth grade hallway and the fine arts classrooms. We did this to help the fifth graders feel comfortable being educated where the classes are. One of the stations was meeting some of the sixth grade teachers. Students were able to learn what they needed each day, learn about some of the subjects, and ask some questions they had in order to feel more comfortable and be more prepared for entering sixth grade.
So at the very end of the rotations of what the fifth graders went through, we had a clap out for them. We wanted to give them an exit and also at the same time a welcome to Friendship because we wanted them to be excited for the next school year. So we had all the grades come out from 6th, 7th, and 8th to kind of have a clap out for the fifth graders to allow them to feel more welcome and excited for what's to come in their future years at Friendship.
The next piece of the transition was talking about our partnership with parents, where we planned a family information night. Many of these topics were the exact same at all three junior highs, and we talked about selecting different electives, how we were restructuring electives for this school year, and some of the basics and some basic understandings of life as a sixth grade student.
When the fifth grade students and parents were at Friendship, we previewed the upcoming summer orientation where students are invited back for a morning dedicated to reading their sixth grade schedules, practicing their actual locker combinations, and participating in team building activities to build community.
With all this being new to us, we really emphasize gaining feedback from our fifth grade teachers as well. So just this morning, I was over at Frost. I will be going over to Brentwood, Jay has 5 fifth graders, Ridge, Claremont, and Devonshire to talk about some of the SEL needs in the SEL groups that will make sure we hit the ground running day one with our junior highs. On top of that, we wanted parents' feedback based on our family info night to see what did we miss out on? What were some of the questions that we didn't really ask that were burning questions for you? And we started incorporating some of those things in special 6th grade team newsletters. So that's just one aspect of what our student ambassadors and student senate do. And it was a major focus we had on the transition from 5th to 6th grade. So we'll turn it over to any questions you have for any of our students or ambassador leads.
First of all, thank you so much for your presentation. I do have a question.
You guys can sit.
Yeah, you can sit. What were the prizes in the lockers? Because I've had 3 kids transition to junior high, and that's always a challenge.
Grab the little microphone.
They could have been anything from a friendship water bottle to candy to a friendship T-shirt.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you know what I think is really great? So you're all 8th graders? Oh, only 8th grade. Okay, great. So I think it's you want to be the person you needed when you're in 5th grade, right? You know, when you were in 5th grade and you looked at friendship, those kids probably looked like big kids, right? And now you're the big kids. And eventually you'll go to high school and those kids will look even bigger, you know, and then eventually you'll be even bigger. But it's always remembering that there's someone that needs that help. Maybe doesn't know how to ask for the help, but you're there to help them, right? So keep doing that. Don't stop doing it. Once you leave friendship, wherever you go, keep it going, because that's the important piece.
I agree. Thank you for doing this. What was your favorite part of kind of showing the 5th graders around?
So one of my favorite parts was seeing some of the Devonshire kids because I got to see some of my previous teachers like Miss Keel and some other. And my favorite part was kind of sharing experiences because when I transitioned into friendship, it was just coming out of COVID and quarantine. So there were sort of limited experiences. So I wanted to kind of help them transition into a school where they can fully know what experiences they could have in different activities. Because during that time, it was limited. So now I wanted to share the experiences that I had and some of my friends had that they could potentially have and could enjoy, and it could turn into something that they really love in the future.
Also, as a staff member, since we are focusing so heavily on SEL lately in building community, it was really great to see the clap out at the end. The 5th graders had no idea it was going to happen. And it was cool to see all 6th, 7th, and 8th graders and all the teachers in the hallways just clapping, and everybody was smiling, and the 5th graders were just so excited to be there.
So I do want to say that the work behind this, it's been growing every year, because when I started, that was your first year, Amelia, going into friendship, and it was limited. And every year I think it's gotten a little bit better. But last spring, our leadership team, under kind of the direction of Dr. Ossel and Ms. Savage, got together with our 3 junior high principals and identified that 5th to 6th grade transition as an area where we really wanted to focus our energies and make some improvements. So they've been working since last spring, a year ago, to really identify how we can make this better. And this is one component of it. I also want to thank our 3 junior high principals all went to the schools and sat down and met with every single 5th grader. Transitioning over, as well as some of our assistant principals as well. I'd like to recognize Ms. Sonishin is here as well from Friendship. But it's been a really collaborative effort between our staff, our students, our leadership team, along with the district, and really making it cohesive so that all 3 junior highs can have such a great transitional experience from 5th to 6th grade. So thank you all so much.
Anything further? No? Yeah, so come on up here, we'll do pictures. All right, that moves us on to 4.0 comments and suggestions from the public. I'm going to read the first name and then I'll read my little speech thing. So Debbie Dwyer is up first. I'm going to read my little thing here. This is the point of the meeting where we welcome public comments. In Illinois, the law says that anyone has the right to speak to public officials like a board of education, but they have to follow the rules that the board has set and made public. To allow the board the time needed to address all agenda items this evening, each speaker will be given 3 minutes to address the board. A board member will serve as timekeeper and will give the speaker notice when there are 30 seconds remaining to allow the speaker time to complete or summarize their thoughts. Please understand that the board will not ask or answer questions during public comment. If you have questions or wish to have a response to any item, please submit your comments in writing and the superintendent will follow up with a response.
My name is Debbie Dwyer. I have a 5th grader at John Jay Elementary and a 7th grader at Holmes Junior High. I serve as PTO treasurer at Jay and PTO president at Holmes as well as BPAC. As the community addressed last month, we are disappointed with how John Jay has been pushed aside. We had no closure with the removal of our principal, Jennifer Ventimiglia, and our assistant principal, Emily Morris, has been left to run the entire operation by herself. Kudos to her for taking on such a large task to finish out the year alone. Now, I will say that parents have seen district admin at Jay since the principal left, but the timing of that was really funny. In 8 years, I've seen admin at Jay only once, and that was by invitation to speak about the school pairings. So thanks for trying to save some face at Jay for the week after Miss Venti left, but now we see where the true colors are, and Jay is being pushed to the background and being ignored. What could have earned some points from the district admin was to actually listen to the 9 parents that stood here last month and give us a 30-minute interview with a new candidate that we repeatedly asked for. There was an overarching theme that fell on deaf ears that was so important and so easy for you to do, but no one cared enough. Instead, a principal was announced and there was an ice cream on a Tuesday at 4 o'clock. We knew you were going to pick somebody on your own, but you didn't think to give us the tiniest inclusion. When Salt Creek asks for a resource aid, it's no problem. When Jay asks for one, it's forgotten about. I guess that's okay that my daughter's class has 30 students. And where the heck is our $200,000 playground that sat in the budget for the last 2 years? The optics are absolutely terrible with the district supporting affluent schools and leaving our lower income community on the sidelines. You know the parents talk, and we will all be watching very closely. The new principal is in a very tough place, but thank goodness that we will have Ms. Morris to support her. Jay has been striving for consistency, which was the one thing you agreed upon. I hope this new team is very successful for the sake of our students and that you commit to Jay what you said you would, consistent and diligent leadership. I'm also still waiting for some progress on the equity journey. It was to be a journey, correct? Not a school pairings push that was voted down, so we decided we didn't care enough anymore to provide the best possible education and environment for our community. Funny, because that was the talk for so long as our #1 priority, yet I haven't heard much about it since December 2022. To my fellow parents and guardians, we need to hold the district accountable and do it now. The superintendent and her leadership team, which is 7 people, earn $1.49 million in total compensation per year. I would venture to think they are very highly educated and intelligent and also able to come up with the consultants and everything that were
30
hired
seconds.
with a plan B, C, or D, correct? And maybe stop telling everybody that the problems in the district were because of the school pairings not passing. I would honestly tell you if you had more than one path presented, you'd have more support and we'd be well on our way. Instead, you tried to rush through, dress up, and change everything in a few months. People can't uproot their lives that quickly, and no one was ever going to think that the pairing of the 2 lowest income schools, Jay and Frost, was an equitable solution. I look forward to seeing this work resume. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Allison Upton Lopez.
Hi, y'all. I'm Allison Upton Lopez. I have a 4th grader at John Jay and a 7th grader at Holmes. First, thank you, board members, for your service. I know you all are volunteers, and I greatly appreciate your time. I also want to say thank you for the signage tonight. I noticed from last month, so thank you. Appreciate the updates and making it a more inclusive space. I'm also here as a follow-up to last month to continue to share my perspective. Last month, at board meeting, parents at John Jay asked for a few specific things. 1, communication on where Ms. Ventimiglia is and how our school is supposed to finish the school year without a principal. And 2, parent input on the hiring of the next leader, and we received neither of these things. We still don't know what happened to Ms. Ventimiglia. Not having a principal for the last 2 months of school is not good for our school. Our incredible assistant principal, Ms. Morris, has done an amazing job at keeping things stable, so thank you for continuing to support her and the consistency of her leadership as we deal with yet another transition. It's also been traumatizing to our kids and families not to have any closure and be unable to say goodbye. Please also know I want to continue to be hopeful with Ms. Tapia being hired. I'm not speaking any ill will about her, and I do not blame her for any of this. I know she's coming into a really difficult situation and have as much hope as anyone else for her leadership. I hope you all know this, but the job of principal is very hard and good principals really matter, just like classroom teachers. And I hope you can continue to prioritize building a leadership pipeline and thinking about better retention strategies for staff, from teachers all the way to principals. It's your job as school members, school board members, to hold the district accountable for this, to ask why principals are leaving and support retention policies. Of note, research shows that principal turnover negatively impacts students' test scores for multiple years after a principal leaves. And teacher retention also goes down when a principal leaves. I can tell you what I hope a school principal advocates for and what I know John Jay needs. I want equitable resource distribution across the district with reasonable class sizes and qualified interventionists. I want a strong community that emphasizes cultural diversity, empathy, and care. And I want staff who know, love, trust, and advocate for our community and students. And without a school principal right now, we have no one to advocate for any of that. For example, we were supposed to get two very small examples. We were supposed to get a playground this year. It hasn't happened yet. We also were planning a mini library that the students designed and painted, and we were not allowed to install. And our current leadership transition has definitely awoken the parents, which is a huge positive for Jay. We've started noticing what's happening. We're asking more questions. We're unified as a community of parents, although there's only a few of us here tonight, and I would say that's largely because of the fear that is happening and the feeling of
30
retaliation.
seconds.
So that's what I would end with. This experience has ultimately broken our trust. It feels like our voices were not respected or valued, and instead our community was punished for parents speaking up. I know many parents who did not even want to attend the recent ice cream social and didn't want to look at district employees when they showed up at our school. And the main message is that the school board administration, please help us rebuild this trust. I want to be a partner in my kids' education. I know every parent would agree. There is no one who cares more about student outcomes than parents and families. There is no disagreement about that, and we want to be partners.
At time.
Thank you. Alice Benamerito? Is that-
Hello, I am here to read a letter to the board. Dear District 59 School Board, we would like to begin by following up on a few items from the public comment that we made last month. We had requested that the principal, Jennifer Ventimiglia, come back to Jay to finish the school year with the teachers and the children. Not only has that not happened, but it was never clearly communicated that she would not be returning. It is the responsibility of the school district to clearly communicate to the families what is going on. In addition to the lack of communication, our wonderful assistant principal has been left to do the job of two people. How are our assistant principal and our teachers being supported? It is hard for them to feel like they can speak up after they have seen firsthand what happens to employees of the district that speak up for our school or in opposition of the opinion of Dr. Bresnahan. We requested a parent representative to be part of the principal search. Not only was a parent not included, but the interviews were not held. Dr. Bresnahan already had a candidate, and that person has had the job before Ms. Venti's resignation was even approved. The fact that she sent out a parent survey asking for the qualities we would like to see in a principal was a huge waste of time for every parent that was thoughtfully filled out that survey. While we have no hard feelings against Ms. Tapia and feel bad that she is caught in the middle of this, it would have been appropriate for the principal position to be posted and for the J staff and parents to have been able to interview her and the other candidates and be able to choose her. Why is the board allowing one person to unilaterally make all the decisions? Why are you allowing her to not consult that there are at the school, not consult those that are at school every day or sending our children to the school every day? Since we have lost principal that was advocating for our school, and most staff are now too afraid to speak up for fear of losing their jobs or retaliation in some way, we would like to point out a few things that Jay has been lacking this school year alone that needs attention. Class sizes. We have 5th grade classroom with 30 students being taught by a 3rd grade teacher. Where is the support? How is that even approved by the district? We have a kinder and 1st grade classrooms with class sizes that are not appropriate for this age level. Where are the classroom aides? We do not have a certified bilingual reading specialist. The one that we were supposed to have got moved to the different building the first week of school. Jay was scheduled for a playground update during the 23-24 school year. Why didn't that happen? Is there an update? In conclusion, District 59 Board, please start
30
questioning the senior leadership team and Terry. Do not allow district leadership to get away with making decisions without evidence or input from staff. Please, please, please talk to the staff in District 59 and allow them to be able to speak freely and honestly without fear of retaliation. Reach out and talk to parents who are at the school way more than any senior leadership staff. Please ask yourself why Jay is lacking the support and the things we are told that we are due. Why are our schools suddenly overcrowded when the equity surveys proposed that our school population would be down over the next few
we
years?
are at time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, that moves us on to 5.0 Superintendent Reports, 5.01 FOIA requests.
The district has responded to 3 FOIA requests since the last report to the Board of Education.
Thank you. And 5.02 class sizes, sections, and programming updates.
Yes, I just wanted to keep the board aware as we are planning for the 24-25 school year. We are paying close attention to all of our class sizes, sections, and as well as our programming needs. So as I included in the last week's board weekly, our dual language task force met this past week, and we expanded the task force to include some monolingual counterparts as well. So we want to continue to expand that audience and that conversation in really looking at what could be a long-term solution to address the needs of our Spanish dual language program, as well as be inclusive of our monolingual, as well as our Polish dual language as well. Part of what we are looking at really closely and has been identified over the past several years is looking at our inconsistencies with our class sizes and our sections. Those are changing on a daily basis as we have new students enroll, we have students move, we have programming choices that our parents make. So we work in collaboration with our building principals on all of those schedules, sectioning, when to split, when not to split, when to consolidate classrooms based on staffing needs. We look at those on a daily basis. One of the things that I want to make sure the board is aware of is where we are having to make individual decisions with families due to class sizes. So our range right now, I believe, is anywhere from about 11 students up to right now, I think our largest that we have currently scheduled is, help me out, Ross.
25.
25. So again, it's just quite a spread where we're not really able to manage like on a consistent basis year to year. There's a lot of fluctuations between grade levels, as well as looking and identifying the classroom needs of our students between monolingual as well as our dual language programs. So that is something we want to be very mindful of. We made the boundary change for Brentwood, which has alleviated some of the concerns. But as we are looking at other areas that continue to get a large number of newcomer students as well, those are having an impact on our populations and our class sizes in addition to that. So stay tuned for more information about our dual language task force. They are really been commissioned to look deeply at what our potential options are, because we do not want to abandon the work that happened previously that identified each of these areas as areas of concern and how we can come together to figure out a long-term solution, because it's going to take a collaborative effort to do so.
I know that the dual language task force met last week, right? Yeah. So it expanded, brought in monolingual teachers. Keeping the train on the tracks, when are we timing for like the next meeting of the task force?
So at that meeting, we shared we asked the group to really brainstorm what are some possible solutions that we could be looking at in terms of either consolidation of programming to maximize our resources within our schools. But every solution has its pros and has its cons, and they had a really great discussion led by Dr. Perdomo and Ms. Savage and myself around, what are those pros and cons? What are the things that we're really willing to commit to? I think the general takeaway was we need to engage more deeply in looking at the actual impact, because any type of consolidation requires someone to move. and in some cases, multiple groups of students to move. And so looking at what does that look like over time, committing, as the board had made, a commitment to the dual language as a preferred model, but what does that take to actually have it be at the level that we need it to be to really measure for success? So we want to continue the conversation, not rush it before we gather enough people. And I think they were really committed to how do we engage the entire district and all of the staff to better understanding. One of our monolingual teachers really shared that she said, I have such a better understanding of what my colleagues are going through. Singletons continues to be a significant issue that was brought up during the dual language presentation. We actually will have more singleton sections in monolingual than we do in dual language. So it is not just a program issue, it is an everywhere issue. When we look at long-range facility planning, which we are embarking on with our WOLD studies at each of our buildings, so we will have that full report anticipated in September. That will help guide us too, because when we look at our schools, the majority of our schools can have 3 sections per grade level for a 6th grade level building, which means if you have 3 sections per grade level and you have more than one program, someone is automatically going to be a singleton. And that was a big part of the discussion. In order to avoid that, it really had to look at, okay, how do we consolidate and create perhaps an academy model? So a lot of good discussion, pros and cons. My commitment to the task force is that I will come forward and we will present, and it will be, here are 5 different ways that we could solve this, and really engage in conversation with the board. Where are our parameters and what do we want to pursue? What is feasible to pursue? What is absolutely like off the table? So that way they can at least start to focus their efforts and energies on, if something's not possible, we don't want to continue to expend a lot of effort down that road. So some feedback and engaging in conversation with the board in the next few months and carrying into fall of next year is the timeline.
Yeah, because we met, the dual language presentation was January. So January, the dual language teachers came in, they gave us the presentation. We talked about class sizes then. The number of newcomers since January, do we have an idea roughly of, because I'm sure it's increased year over year.
Yeah, I don't know that I can get that.
Yeah.
I'll see what I have right now since January.
Yeah, they're written.
Yeah.
On a weekly basis,
Yeah.
I mean, I think just this last week, I was made aware, and only made aware because they're in buildings where we are at class size capacities. And if we split them, now they're going to go into classes of 12s and 13s. And that's the trade-off. We are also experiencing now, because we are splitting classrooms, now we're at capacity within buildings.
Yeah.
So it is a complex issue, but I would say just in the last 2 weeks, I know of, I think, at least 3 families that came in just that was impacted in one area.
Yeah.
So it is on a pretty regular, steady basis.
Yeah, no, because that's the trouble, is that we've been discussing kind of how to improve the dual language program, how to address the singletons and the class size, et cetera. We're still getting newcomers that are coming, which I am going to assume require dual language services. Probably a majority of them do. So it's, even as we're rounding out the year, we're still getting students that are enrolling now, within the last 2 weeks probably, that are still coming here. So it's just kind of the compounding on the issue.
In terms of timeline, you said the fall, the board will start beginning to see potential solutions presented.
Well, so we really want to, obviously we're in May and our teachers head into the summer, and we want that to be a presentation that our teachers are really giving and providing. So, we'll see. I want to provide updates on where we are, but I also want to have an opportunity for teachers while they're here to really give a full and comprehensive update and report again. So we were probably looking towards August to come back with the full task force presentation.
So I like that you said that we'll have multiple options, and I would like, this is just me talking, but I would like to see those earlier in the process, so we're not like too far down a road and throwing away a solution that maybe the board thinks is a great solution. We never hear about it. So I think the more options that we can have, and so we can start steering in the right direction, the better. And I think that will give like the community the opportunity to see what those might be. And I think that not rushing it, I like that we're not rushing it into next school year. I know it's an immediate problem, but planning it out to cause the least disruption as possible. But it almost seems like we're running two different schools within every school right now with what's going on in terms of, because you'll have the dual language program is, class sizes of 15 and 12, while the monolingual is a class size of like 25 to 30. So it's not sustainable. So not rushing it, but I think getting us involved in the process as early as possible is going to help us navigate it more quickly.
Yeah, so we looked at 2 potential models that we put out there and just asked the task force for some of their feedback. So we got that last week and we're going to start looking through it. We also asked them, what other ideas do you have that we could start formulating into a model that we could then have to present? I was very committed to only presenting things that teachers were going to be in support of. But not everyone, even within the teacher group, is going to agree on the same thing, as they really learned each school is impacted differently based on its geographic location, based on its size and its capacity, based on whether or not it currently houses a dual language program. So a lot of moving parts that we're looking at. But it was exciting for them to at least be engaged in that conversation and start to, consider what could be, but also understanding there's limitations and other timelines that are going to constrain the process too.
So I think as far as a need from us, not necessarily today, but we need as a board to start thinking of what the red lines are, as far as we are not going to go this far, or as far as options go, this is all great, that's off the table. So I think we just need to start brainstorming what those are.
Yeah,
So that is exactly the reason why I support what TR said, that we need updates more often. We can't wait till, it's summer. We're just going to accumulate the knowledge, and then come September, it's going to be a huge data dump, and it's basically going to be information paralysis, right? Or we'll have to make quick decisions without having the time to really digest the information and go through the options. I think it should be a iterative process where, even if it's an impartial, saying, hey, this is a current state and it's changing, we're going this direction or that direction. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it gives us opportunity to catch up and be a lot more productive when we actually have to come to that decision-making point.
I think this is a huge issue in the district. I just had 2 teachers very recently tell me there was issues with them being a singleton, and then a dual language teacher went on maternity leave and the classroom got combined because we didn't have the resources in the building. So, but I agree that I would like to hear from the teachers early, what are the pros and cons for the different paths, and what do the different levels of those look like, so that we can put some guidelines on them.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a perfect process, but the Brentwood example, we had 15 options on that presentation that we kind of chiseled away. Not saying it ended up the perfect, like you said, every option has pros and cons, but there was a lot of input from us at the time there as far as what was good, what worked, why are we thinking of that, what about this, so it's just making sure that we're flushing everything out as much as we can.
I will say conceptually, I think the main option that is being explored is consolidation. So regardless of whether we say it's going to be Brentwood having this or Forest View having this, it's more the concept of, are we in favor of looking at any type of program consolidation, or are we not? Because there's obviously a whole multitude of ways we could lay out what consolidation looks like. And rather than start with the devil will be in the details and looking at, well, we don't want this school to be this, but we'd like this school to be that. I think I'd like the board to consider, if we looked at every consolidation also involves some boundary considerations. So I think maybe in June, we can come back with some general conceptual ideas that we presented to the task force and just at least have a conversation on, you know, what's your initial reaction to looking at consolidation? And when we say consolidation, we look right now, like Brentwood is a good example of what is currently happening with consolidation. We are consolidating monolingual programs at Brentwood and slowly phasing out dual language. So on the reverse side, are there schools that are slowly going to phase into being dual language only and phasing out their monolingual? That is one of the considerations of consolidation that the task force was exploring. So that in theory and concept is what we would really want feedback on, because right now there is no way to avoid singletons and have two programs exist within a current building at all of our buildings. Claremont's a good example of one that can, because they can have 4 sections per school.
See, yeah, I think that's perfect, and I think getting us like as almost like the guardrails to say, yeah, we don't want 15 plans with one being consolidation, one not, because that's a waste of everybody's time. But if we can steer you in the right direction earlier in the process, then we can go into more detail and be more thoughtful about the different options, because that just, the consolidation thing scared me when a school's not going to have a monolingual. So when we're going through this WOLD study, maybe a school needs to add classrooms for a 4th section, so we're not eliminating a school from the monolingual path, right? So I think, yeah, I think the earlier we can be involved, and we're not going to have answers, but we can you can at least get the sense of.
Yeah, and I want to bring that up as well, the space issues with buildings. We have very tiny schools, which means most of them are 3-section, which means you can't run non-singletons in a building unless that building is one program. So for example, Forest View is 3 monolingual sections. The majority of our buildings are 3-section buildings, which means if you have a dual language program, it's either going to be 1 section or 2 sections, and then the mono is going to be 1 section. So you're going to force those singletons because of the building size constraints.
So Tiara, I think the board conversation, if everyone could come back even in June to start looking at some of this, if we also looked at, okay, what could we do if construction was on the table? If additions at specific buildings was an option that we could explore, then we could lay that out and start dreaming a little bit different, a little bit bigger. And I think that's what the task force is wanting in terms of those, like you said, those guideposts to tell us how far do we dream, or how narrow do we need to focus.
Okay, and I want to put the scale on this correctly. If you are expanding 3-section buildings, you are choosing to close some buildings. We cannot have the same number of buildings if we're going to combine things.
Why?
Well, I guess we could run 2-section buildings.
Well, I don't, yeah, closing a building and then the Catholic school closes nearby, then all of a sudden, why'd we close that building? Now we need them for, like, so closing a,
So
maybe
we're
not
just
having as full of a building.
right, but that introduces additional inefficiencies to the system to operate. If you're
Okay,
going
these-
to
yeah.
look at consolidation, you should look at consolidation.
Okay, but these are things to flush out. These are things, yeah, I'm not
Right,
prepared to, like,
but
make a-
I think we as a board have to be responsible and not avoid those questions.
Sure.
Yeah, so I appreciate it, because again, I don't want to put the conversation that you all just had is not the conversation that teachers need to come to the table with.
Right.
But
Yes.
those are the conversations the board can have that then provide the guidance and parameters for the teachers
And
in our task
I
force,
would
which is
completely-
appreciated.
Earlier on in the process, I'm not expecting pretty presentations or, you know, this decision or this decision, just like staying up to date and being able to give feedback.
So we will have that in June. I don't want to guarantee teachers as part of that, but we will provide where we are, kind of like a status update on what the current state is, what possible consolidation looks like, and then what do you need to know in order to look at other possible solutions that we could put on the table.
Just going to say, I think one thing we can all agree on is I keep hearing early in the process. We all want to be involved as early in the process as possible. So is that something we all agree on? We want to, okay.
And I think we need to be willing to say what we will and will not go with. We can't just say, yeah, that's fine.
I agree. I think as honest as we can be, as early as we can be, will help.
I want to dig into this a little further, but I did run a report. 86 newcomer students since the start of the new year, since January, from 20 different countries.
Okay, that moves us on to the consent agenda, 6.0. Does anybody need a particular item removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, can we get a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make the motion. Be it resolved that on the 13th day of May 2024, the Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education approved the consent agenda as presented and amended. 6.01, approval of minutes of prior meetings. 6.02, disbursements resolution. 6.03, acceptance of financial reports. 6.04, acceptance of recommendations human resources reports. 6.05, approval to destroy 18-month-old or older closed session recordings. 6.06, approval to release certain closed session minutes. 6.07, approval of consolidated district plan.
Did we get a second? Otherwise, I'll second, and then we can do a roll call. Any discussion on these as a whole? No? All right. Then let's do a roll call vote.
All right. Espino, absent. Johnson? Aye. Mencia, aye. Sager?
Aye.
Chesney?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Eddie?
Aye.
And the motion passes. I believe we have one of our new principals here in the audience.
We do. So I'd like to introduce the board to our new principal for the 24-25 school year of Forest View, Ms. Kim Van Meter. So Ms. Van Meter, she's been an educator since 1999. She most recently was assistant and currently assistant principal at Viking Middle School in Gurnee, Illinois. She's also served as a middle school language arts, social studies, science, physical education, and health teacher. She's done it all. And she also served as a reading specialist for students in the intermediate grades for 3rd through 5th for 8 years. So Ms. Van Meter earned her Bachelor's of Science in Education from Illinois State University. She got her master's in reading from Concordia and her master's in educational leadership from American College of Education. We are very excited to welcome Ms. Van Meter as the new principal of Forest View.
Thank you. And our other principal is possibly on the way?
Yes, our other future principal is hopefully on her way. She is celebrating her son's senior awards night tonight and is going to try to make it here. So hopefully I can do a little introduction of our new principal for
So
John Jay as well.
Should she arrive, we'll pause.
We will pause for that. Absolutely.
All right, that moves us on to 7.0 action items. 7.01 is the NSSEO budget adoption for the 24-25 school year. I would like to make that resolution. Be it resolved that on the 13th day of May 2024, the Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education agrees to participate in the programs and activities of the Northwest Suburban Special Education Organization, NSSEO, during the fiscal year 2024-25, approves of the fiscal year 2024-25 budget for this organization as presented by the NSSEO Governing Board, and agrees to pay the district's pro rata share of the organization's budgeted revenues.
I'll second.
Thank you. Does anyone have any comments on this? If not, okay, let's do a roll call vote.
Aye.
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 All right, that moves us on to 7.02. Approval of District 59 Education Foundation, a very generous donation. Does anyone want to make that motion?
Be resolved that on the 13th day of May 2024, the Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education approves the donation from the District 59 Education Foundation for a 1-year subscription to the Calm app for all District 59 employees and additional picture frames for the art display at the Administration Center. Be it further resolved that the superintendent shall communicate to the District 59 Education Foundation in writing expressing the appreciation of the members of the board, and that this donation shall be listed in the official minutes of this meeting.
Second.
Any discussion?
I just want to thank the G59 Foundation. This is officially a year that I've been here, and I've had the pleasure of approving so much money that is going toward our staff and our students, and it's just been amazing. So thank you so much to those.
Yeah.
That
For-
I think the call map for the employees and focusing on employee mental health is important.
Yeah.
Does it
Does staff,
include
do you
board
need
members?
a call map? Do you really need a Yeah, you do? Okay.
All right. If anyone
So
else?
do the board members get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. All right. Okay. Let's do our roll call vote.
Ansia, aye. Sager.
Aye.
Chesney.
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Eddie.
Aye.
Spino absent. Johnson.
Aye.
And the motion passes. That moves us on to discussion items 8.01 through 8.09. A lot of these are sort of pro forma yearly things.
Can you explain what pro forma yearly things are?
So every year, these things appear and are largely the same as the prior years. And so they happen continuously. Mr. O'Connor, I assume, is going to introduce some of them, yes? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bresnahan, Board of Education. The first piece is dependent on the calendar for the board meetings for next year. We were going to put the tentative budget beginning July 1st on setting for the August time and date. Any suggestions then will be reflected in the final budget to be presented for approval at the September meeting.
And when it's placed in a public display, where is it at? Where can people see it?
We'll have it in the front over in the lobby, and we'll make sure that it is also, it's in the newspaper as well, that it says that it's going to be on display.
Perfect.
Okay. 8.02, determination of serious safety hazards related to student transportation. Is that you as well?
Yep, every year we have to do this as well. The state of Illinois lets us know where there are certain hazards, and then they, once we approve it, it allows us to run our transportation more efficiently for students.
And this is a list that's provided by the state Department of Transportation. We don't
Correct.
really have any say over it. It's just we approve what they send us. Right. Okay, that moves us on to 8.03, food services RFP.
So food service, 5 vendors attended the RFP process. However, only one, which was the current service provider, Organic Life, submitted the RFP. We are talking to the other companies to find out what the reason for not submitting. But even looking at the process, we have a lot more flexibility in this new contract. And we're recommending them an increase in the lunch prices of 2.75%, which is well below CPI.
Ron, let me ask. 5 attended the workshop, right? Like the RFP workshop. Only
correct.
1 submitted. What's your gut reaction as to why only 1 submitted? Do you think are we pricing too low? Is it too burdensome to do the work here, like for food delivery? Like why do you think?
The food delivery is a good piece. Kitchens.
Mm-hmm.
When you want to make something quality, or you want to keep your name on it, you want the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're seeing a lot in this equity audit, the journey right now that we're looking at with Wold, that we are trying to create blueprints so that we do have some sort of kitchens in place, so that we do have that opportunity, so that we can at least warm up food for students. It's not going to be full service kitchens, but it's a lot more palatable for kids.
So right now it's just like it's an infrastructure issue. They can deliver the food, but it's just not going to. The structure internally here is probably not ideal for most providers.
Correct. They take it from Wheeling and we put them in hot boxes. They have them prepared and then deliver them to the schools. And we've already done some good things with the junior highs with the kitchens, but that was brought up, I know, when people were doing the walkthroughs.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving on to 8.04, appointment of school treasurer.
The district needs a treasurer. Could you let me do it? Thank you.
And again, this is all discussion, so it'll be approval next time. That moves us on to the school treasurer bond.
In accordance with the school code, the treasurer has to be bonded just because of any sort of situation that may occur with the district's funding. And so we are finalizing that dollar amount now. So just FYI, this is traditional as well.
And dumb question. This is basically like an insurance policy in the event of gross mismanagement, something like that, where we're not facing liabilities for the action of the treasurer.
Correct.
Okay. That moves us on to, let me see, 8.06, direct the school treasurer to transfer interest earned in the debt service fund to the educational fund for the fiscal year 23-24.
So but once the audit's complete, we take the debt service dollar amount, and this has also been traditional. Any sort of interest that has been made into that, we move it into the ed fund so it's spent on curriculum and instruction.
Kind of related question. Do the debt service fund is being used basically to pay off the debt that the district has, correct?
Correct.
And most of the debt there are bonds issued for the construction of this building. Is that most of the remaining debt?
I do not believe it's with this building.
No. Okay.
But the ELC.
Okay. Is there a schedule for when that will be paid off?
There is. I need to look off the top of my head. I believe it was 2028. But we're about $5 million a year from that, and we've structured our interest rates enough where we don't anticipate taking out any bonds anytime soon.
And that's funded off a separate line item on taxes, right?
That is correct.
So in the end, when that bond is done, everybody who's paying that line on taxes, it goes away.
Correct.
So that's independent of our normal tax levy.
That's right. We don't levy with bond money from the state and everything else. You pretty much just pay it. They get taxed it, and that's it. It's not an asking.
Right. So if we keep on the plan, everybody gets a tax cut in 3 years, 4 years, whatever it is. Okay, so moving on. 8.07, direct school treasurer to transfer interest earned in the working cash fund to the operations and maintenance fund for the fiscal year 23-24.
Okay, we have a large working cash fund. That's another example of dollars that we use for investments. We've laddered for 5 years. Over time, we're getting with rates of 5% interest, and then we're taking that money, and we'd like to move that from that working cash fund to O&M so that we can continue with upkeep of our buildings.
And I know if Mardell was here, she would say that the working cash fund is like our rainy day fund, sort of piggy bank that we always have as like our need to move money back and forth sort of thing.
We have no intention on touching it.
Okay, that moves us on to 8.08, bid for seal coating, restriping, and crack filling at various facilities.
This is another facility upkeep piece. So we're looking at the Ed Building, Bird, Devonshire, the Early Childhood Center, Forest View, Grove, and Holmes. We're doing restriping at every place except for Brentwood because of construction. So that's what we're looking for.
And this is always in the 10-year facilities where we rotate continuously through this to maintain, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, and that moves us on to 8.09, workers' compensation insurance renewal.
So we have a workers' comp insurance renewal. The district has actually done very well this past year with its claims. With an increase in salary, they do take that into account as well as your prior 5-year look back. So the premium did go up 8% to now it's $604,000 for the year, and $265.
Yeah. Do we have a deductible on top of that? Like, do we pay out is it per claim, or how does that even work?
There is there's like a stop loss. There's a certain loss to it. I don't have all the information here right now.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, like if you want to, I can get that information.
And that's annual increase, right? I mean, next year we're going to be going through the same thing.
Correct.
All right, that moves us on to our annual reorganization. So this is going to be 9.01. So the first item is determination of length of office, president, vice president, and secretary to the Board of Education. The default in policy is 2 years. We typically change it to 1 year. Everybody's
Yep.
Yeah.
wants to do that again. Yeah, because that allows us to rotate more constantly through people.
We're voting on these like instantly, right?
What's that?
I mean, we're roll calling.
Yeah, this is the reorganization meeting, so this
Yep.
is done
I gotta get
right
my
now.
pen ready.
Yeah. Okay, so determination of length of office, so I'll make the motion to do the 1-year version of it. Once I find something that I can read with my glasses, sorry. 1 second, I usually quicker at clicking on these. Be it resolved on the 13th day of May 2024, the Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education establishes the length of office for the president, vice president, and secretary to be for a period of 1 year. The next election for officers will be held in 2025. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, roll call, please.
All right, Zach.
Aye.
Eddie.
Aye.
Absent. Johnson.
Aye.
Nancy, aye. Sager.
Aye.
Chesney.
Aye.
All right, that moves us on to 9.02, establishment of the stipend for Board of Education Secretary. We've never had one in the time that I've known. I'm perfectly happy to keep it at 0 if everybody's good with that. If that, I think we actually do need to do a motion that says it's 0. No, we don't? It just stays at 0? Okay. So if we leave it at 0, it just stays at 0. We don't have to set a new 0. If everybody's good, then we'll just leave it
Yep.
at 0. Sound good to me. All right. That moves us on to nomination and election of board president. I'm happy to serve as president pro tem for this, if that's okay with everybody. I'll just accept the nominations and then there's a vote. Okay. That being said, let's have some nominations.
I'd like to nominate TR. I think we had that. What a shocker.
All right.
I will nominate Dr. Sager.
And I will not accept that nomination. Well, I don't have the option to not accept that nomination. Never mind. So that's 2 nominations. Any further?
I will nominate Mrs. Zach.
You can- I will nominate Ms. Eddie. And
Yeah.
Lucas. Okay, there we go. All right. So we take these in order. So the first one is for, let's see. Let's see. Do we need nominations don't require a second. You have a second here. It's not required. We just do the list. Yeah. So the first
For the
vote will,
election.
yeah, there's no second required. So the first vote is on the nomination for Board Member Johnson. So let's get a roll call on that.
But I don't track it. This is just a.
It's just whoever gets.
But I'm
for-
not actually writing the yays and nays on this because this is only for the election of.
For the final.
Yeah, this is
for
just
the
the
final.
motion is just for the election.
Last year, didn't we vote by name first, and then so the final?
And then the motion.
Right.
And then we did the motion. Okay,
Yeah.
so then we'll just do I guess this is a poll
Yeah.
technically then. So on the first nomination for.
So wait, just to clarify,
Yes.
are you accepting? The
No.
No, it doesn't matter because it goes in order.
Right. But I mean, there's only 2 candidates for
Yes.
president, right? You and TR. Okay.
Okay, so let's do a poll for TR. I don't do.
So we just raise our hands? and
Yeah, just raise
do
your
it? Okay,
hands.
so for TR, 1,
Sure.
2, 3, 4.
Hey.
Okay. 5. Okay. Well, great.
Come on, Robert. How you doing? Okay, so let's make the official nomination. So I think the motion that is by Lucas, the second is by, I'll do it, the second by me, and then we can do the official vote. 'Cause-
Sure. All right. Now it's the official vote.
Yes.
All right. Eddie.
Aye.
Spino. Absent. Johnson.
Aye.
Nancy. Aye. Sager.
Aye.
Chesney.
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
All right. TR, you want to do the next part? Technically, I'm not. There's no pro tem anymore.
I'll stay here.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so the next is for the nomination and election of a vice president. Does anybody have any nominees for vice president?
I will nominate Dr. Sager for vice president.
Any other?
I would nominate Mr. Macia.
I don't know if you can see the face I'll say that into my mic. I don't know if you can see the face that he made.
While I appreciate
saw
it,
it.
I politely reject the nomination.
Any other? No? Okay. So if we could have a motion. Oh, okay. Well, there's only one, so.
Raise
all-
hand.
All who would be,
You can't reject the nomination.
Okay.
It's technically there, but it doesn't matter if the first one passes.
all in favor, who would be in favor of Dr. Sager? Okay. All right, so can I get a motion to nominate Dr. Sager for vice president?
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
All right, Eddie.
Aye.
Stino, absent. Johnson.
Aye.
Mencia, aye. Sager.
Aye.
Chesney.
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Motion passes. Lastly, so for nominations and election of secretary, do I have any nominations for secretary of the board?
I would like to nominate our temporary secretary, Mr. Mancia, to be full-time secretary for next year.
Any other nominations?
I would like to revisit that stipend.
Would you like to?
We never made a motion, so we could.
Let's do that.
All right, all who would potentially be in favor of that? Okay. All right, so if we can get a motion to nominate Mr.
I'm-
make a
I made the
motion.
motion.
Okay,
No, I
second?
already nominated him.
Who seconded?
Second.
Second.
Lucas second.
All right, any discussion?
Mr. Mancia is going to be an excellent secretary.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right, let's put my skills to use here. Stino, absent. Johnson.
Aye.
Mencia, aye. Sager.
Aye.
Chesney.
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Eddie.
Aye.
I don't have the agenda in front of me. Oh, time. Okay, so next, set times and dates and locations for the regular meeting for the 24-25 year. Can I get a motion to approve based on, what do we have there, down there? Can I have a motion to approve the dates that are set forth on the agenda?
I'll do it.
Good.
Be resolved that on the 13th day of May 2024, the District 59 Board of Education hereby sets the date, time, and place for regular meetings in accordance with the listing of the meeting and dates and times attached to this resolution.
Do we have a
I'll
second?
second.
All right, and then any discussion? I think these are all Wednesdays. And so moving from Monday to Wednesday, continuing with the 7 p.m. start, where we will have closed sessions as necessary.
So I would just like to point out two things. So we were always the first Monday of the month. No, sorry, we are always
Second.
the second Monday. Sorry, second Monday of the month, and NSSEO is always the first Wednesday of the month. And so if we switch to the second Wednesday of the month, we're on the same day, except they have two Wednesdays where they're not the second Wednesday. One is, they would have been New Year's Day, so instead they were January 8th, so we moved, on this list, the January one is not the second Wednesday, it's the third Wednesday, I believe. 'Cause the
January 15th.
yeah, they would have had had to have their meeting on the 1st, and then theirs would have been on the 8th, which would have been our normal second Wednesday. And so now we're the third Wednesday. And then for some other reason, you'll notice October 2nd is the first Wednesday. There was a similar conflict there. So we just have to be sure that for NSSEO, we're careful to sync up with them. They passed their calendar. We passed the calendar last month, so this should be good.
Anybody else? Comments? Everybody good?
Yep.
Okay, roll call.
All right, Johnson.
Aye.
Mencia, aye. Sager.
Aye.
Chesney.
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Eddie.
Aye.
Stino, absent.
All right, motion passes. And then next, appointment of the IASB Governing Board Representative. So Dr. Sager, you're probably more familiar because you served as this.
Yes. So this is the Resolutions Committee. Basically, the one major duty is the Resolutions Committee at the III conference. Somebody has to collect our collective votes on those resolutions and go and actually do the official votes. If anybody wants to do it. It's not the most exciting thing. I'll do it again. I don't really
What, like traditionally, does the board president do that, or? has
They,
been you?
I think typically it was Mardell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
it
yeah,
wasn't the
for
board
a number
president. It
of
was
years,
the most senior member, whoever volunteered, basically.
Okay.
We have
would you
two
like-
most senior members right now.
Would you like to continue to do it?
I am fine doing it
Okay.
again. Yeah.
So I nominate Dr. Sager to be our ISB governing board representative.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
All right, let's go. Espino absent. Johnson.
Aye.
Mencia, aye. Sager.
Aye.
Chesney.
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, item 10.0, reports of the Board of Education. Anybody have a report this month?
Lucas and I visited Claremont Elementary last month. Thank you so much to Ms. Farfan for showing us around, and we got to see the Polish dual language program in action, which was really awesome. And we got to go to a kindergarten classroom where we were hug attacked and not allowed to leave for several minutes, which was also very nice. But thank you so much, and we'll kind of continue our tour this month.
It was a therapy session. If anybody ever has a bad mood, just visit elementary school, kindergarten, get the hugs, definitely. I've got a small item. Was it 2 weeks ago? I believe we had a concert for our at Grove for the was it 5th grade and 8th grade. And I'll just say what a tremendous difference few months of practice can make. I mean, I can say it about my daughter because she's in the 5th grade. That is just being able to finally listen to the music, and then you hear the 8th graders. Oh my God, they sound professional. So our music program is just fun. I mean, I love being there. I mean, I was able to close my eyes and just enjoy the notes.
I spent an afternoon at Salt Creek with Mr. Phillips in his gym class. He has a program called CLAWS, Community Leaders Active with Students. He brings in guest speakers to speak to the kids during gym, participate during gym. Lots of fun. I recommend that if you have time, reach out to him before the end of the year to participate that, because you realize kind of all the moving parts of the school, of getting the kids out of the classroom, in line, into the gym, getting them picked up from the gym to their next place, wherever they got to go. It's a lot of moving parts there to make sure that they get the full amount of time in the gym. But he's doing a great job with that program. I was very impressed. So I want to thank Mr. Phillips for allowing me to come and join him.
I went to the ELC at the beginning of the month, and it was just amazing to see everything from, just their playgrounds that are enclosed, and to the point that it's nice to see that the kids are able to play and there's not a teacher like on top of them trying to, make sure that they're being safe. It's more that they could actively play with the kids and be with the kids, which is really nice. And each classroom was working very routinely, and it was great.
Okay, so I was at the NSSEO governing board meeting. I don't have a huge amount to report from that, other than it's always nice when they do their shining stars. They did their retirement ceremony, including for Julie Gillick, who is their longtime business services assistant super, and she was part of that as well as those teachers. It's amazing to see them interact with their students. They had some past students come back and talk with the teachers, and it was a wonderful thing. It's a very heartwarming program to be part of. I went to the Facilities and Finance Committee meeting along with Lucas last week. We discussed some updated Brentwood costs that you saw in the Friday update. There's also some working on the ELC HVAC system that we're going to get quotes on improving. It's a system that struggles with winter system, and so we'll be boosting that hopefully in the future. Mr. O'Connor, we'll have an update hopefully at the next facilities meeting.
That's what it sounds like. We're actually working with Train on this as we speak.
So it's a future, somewhat major project to work on. I just want to have everybody aware that that's out there before it shows up. I've also been doing this coffee with the board thing where I go to various events around the district along with a second board member. Since the last meeting, board member Eddie and myself went to the 6th grade orientation. I was at the early session with my 5th grader, and then I went to the second session. That was great. I got to meet a lot of people. SEL Family Night also at Grove with Mr. Mancia, and that was really nice because I got to pet the therapy dog. Emma was excellent and a very nice, and we also got to talk to some parents and that sort of thing. But yeah, and then I did Frost Family Learning Night. That was a very well attended program with lots of families from the Frost area showing up, and I got to serve coffee to some of them and chat with some of them. That was excellent. And then I did the Friendship Spring Musical. They reserved a seat in the back for me, which was really nice, and I got a chance to speak with a bunch of families. And there's been family members who come up and say thank you for attending these things and getting out to the meeting. So I'm hoping we'll continue. Mr. Chesney and I have one planned for next week, hopefully at Friendship for the orchestra concert. So we'll be doing the same. And then last week with board member Mancia and board member Espino, I attended the staff retirement lunch. Oh, and Lucas, oh my goodness, I forgot. Lucas was sitting right in front of me. I forgot about that, sorry. And, that was excellent, seeing all the staff members recognized for their years of service and those that were retiring, including someone who had 50 years of service, I believe, and was not one of the retirees.
Yeah.
So that was an excellent event, and then I believe we have the DEA retirement dinner tomorrow.
Yep. The 50. What do we track? What the record is for years of service? That's got to be it. Right?
No, Prusco was more than that, right?
55. Wow. I mean, Nixon was president 50 years ago. That shows you like.
I believe he started before people landed on the moon.
Yeah.
Mr. Prusco started before I was born. And I'm celebrating my 30th year in the district.
So I'll just say,
I believe Miss Savage was not yet alive when Miss Shakowski celebrated her first year in the district.
I was born the year she started in District 59, 50 years ago. There you go.
so I'll just add, I really enjoyed the dad jokes during the presentation. I mean, I'll go for the next one just to hear them.
Anything else? Okay. 11.0 informational items. 8th grade graduation ceremony attendance sign-up sheet. I think we have somebody going to everyone. We have some speakers. So we still have a couple spots. So I will put my name under the Grove, and I'll take the last Friendship spot.
And just a reminder, due to the what I would call public outpouring of support, board speeches are back this year, so we will be giving.
I was told to limit it to 3-ish minutes.
We'll try.
Good. I'm glad the speech is not next to my name. Okay, that's it.
Yeah, if I could just give a few updates on the informational piece, I want to, I include a lot of information as do our district leadership team in the board weekly, but I think some of them are worth highlighting out in public and for the public record. But we had a celebration with our staffing. We are doing an outstanding job in the area of staffing this year. I feel like we are so far ahead of the game every year. It keeps getting better and better. We were actually able to celebrate with our dual language task force last week. We have 11 staff members within our dual language team who are actually able to have other opportunities outside of the classroom this year, which in years past has been really difficult because we have to prioritize covering classrooms first. So it's just great that we're able to provide some other opportunities in terms of our ESL resource, newcomer resource teachers, instructional coaches, things like that. So that is a big celebration. And we have, I believe, all but 1 or 2 of our dual language positions filled. And it is May, which is outstanding. So great job, Dr. Perdomo, Ms. Cohn, our HR department, doing all of our hiring managers from the schools doing a really great job. Thank you. I also want to share a thank you for the staff appreciation last week. So all of our schools were able to have a wonderful meal, either a breakfast or a lunch of their choosing. Last week that was provided on behalf of the district, and our building here actually enjoyed a wonderful breakfast last Friday morning. So many thanks to the board and the district for recognizing staff appreciation. I also saw tremendous celebrations by our PTOs across the district. I saw a lot of them on Twitter or X sharing their celebrations for the week, and it was, I mean, just they go above and beyond. So I send a nice thank you to our PTO presidents to share with their teams because they did an outstanding job for staff recognition last week. And then one of the items that was in our weekly, but I really want to share publicly, is we were awarded a tech grant for next year. We originally thought it was about $100,000. It's actually $319,000. So thank you to Mr. Gray, who turned that grant around in less than 24 hours to get approval so that we can really start looking at some STEM expanded opportunities, and excited for all the work that he has been doing for innovation and technology in collaboration with our LRC teachers to really enhance the work that we're doing in the terms of innovation and technology. So
Yeah, that was really
very, very exciting. And we also had a BPAC event last 2 weeks ago, Saturday before last. It was a great event. We held it here. We had a lot of students from across the district, which was really nice to see. And we're going to look for ways next year to incorporate our student leaders, many that you saw today here at Friendship, to help be volunteers in events like that for our families. So thank you to everyone who participated and led in that. And that's all I have.
All righty. Great. Thank you. So now I just need a motion to go into closed session for reasons A through F as listed on the agenda. Go ahead.
Be resolved on 13th day of May 2024, Community Consolidated School District 59 Board of Education recess and closed meeting for the discussion of A through F as set forth in this motion.
I'll second.
Is that Eddie?
Yep. Motion second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Override. Zach?
Aye.
Eddie?
Aye.
Spino absent. Johnson?
Aye.
Tia, aye. Sager?
Aye.
Chesney?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, let's go. Thank you all.